I'm Renee Cummings, an AI ethicist, data activist, and criminologist. We've enjoyed the dancing robots and laughed at their every move. We have listened to music written by AI, from classical to hip hop. We've enjoyed poetry written by AI and witnessed AI writing in the voice and vernacular of William Shakespeare. We have seen AI paint with the precision and genius of Michelangelo and Pablo Picasso. We have seen AI create an animated Mona Lisa. But we have also seen the danger of AI, deep fakes created by AI, disinformation campaigns, and troll factories and chatbots, AI using the most abusive and violent language. And yet we have seen AI crafting some of the most delicate and touching stories, compelling stories. Drone technology has gathered thousands of photos of the Great Wall of China, allowing architects to pinpoint the exact areas on the wall that need restoration. That should let you know that algorithms are here to stay. We could use AI to digitize massive amounts of information stored in archives and museums. We can also use AI to digitize manuscripts and to analyze data and reconstruct history, wars, trade routes, and some of the reasons why some cultures survived and others were destroyed. AI is a time capsule that facilitates our exploration of culture and enhances our understanding as AI keeps us in close contact with the past. But AI is also a spaceship propelling us further and further into the future as AI promises to sell seats for the ride of our lifetime. Our heritage is our cultural DNA, and AI is changing our cultural DNA every day. AI is changing our values and our identities. AI is also the architect of the future and the most dramatic game changer of our age, disrupting every aspect of our lives, every industry, every methodology, every thought, upsetting the balance of power and creating a power structure of its own, backed by an arsenal of AI tools and techniques. Governments, industry, academia, media, and more have all been impacted by AI. At the intersection of AI and culture, AI is powerful, pervasive, and offers extraordinary promise. Using big data, AI has created a common culture powered by machine learning and deep learning with code as a language of its own, recoding culture as we know it. Ours is a digital culture, still to mature, but coming of age with great sophistication. But are all nations speaking the language of AI or experiencing at the same speed and at the same scale the cultural changes of AI? No. AI is widening the digital divide. We need to use AI to close the digital divide and bring more equity to technology and more equity just in general to society. AI is stretching our imagination on critical cultural issues such as innovation, communication, connectivity, diversification, global coordination, global cooperation, and global recovery. We are forced to use AI to pivot and to reimagine as we renegotiate this new frontier of power brokers and TikTok influencers. While AI is being used to literally and figuratively build bridges, we must ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion are part of the AI infrastructure. At the intersection of AI and culture, we must demand equitable representation and visibility for those cultures and cultural communities that may lack the resources to have their voices heard. Data is cultural. We must critically examine the data power structure and inherent power and privilege in data collection, annotation, and analysis. What cultures are being included? What cultures are being excluded? Who's making that decision? Who owns our data? What about data sovereignty and data rights? We've got to be vigilant. We've got to be conscious about data and new and emerging technologies such as AI. We could use AI to bring cultures closer together and make our conversations with cultures and each other more meaningful, from governments to the grassroots. We can use AI to present our various cultures to the world. We can use AI to amplify cultural voices, to share stories in real time, to create and restore, to capture, collect, collate, and create through augmented reality and virtual reality experiences where we feel not only included, but present and in the moment as we face a crisis like no other of our time, and as we are impacted by the largest economic shock of our generation. We've got to think. We have got to think, how do we plan to reimagine the world and industries such as trade and tourism and hospitality, the gig economy, walk-in retail, sport? We've got to reimagine the world with AI. So we must remember, with any technology, there are risks and there are rewards. And to reduce the risks of AI, we must ensure that there are rigorous and robust ethical guardrails to protect society from the long-term harms and negative impacts of AI. Therefore, accountability, transparency, explainability, auditability are critical and must be prerequisites across the design, development, and deployment of AI. Other critical issues would include AI governance, privacy, security, bias, discrimination, marginalization, and the protection of vulnerable groups. All of these are important to the preservation of culture and the expression of culture. So as we examine the balance between ethics and innovation, culture offers us a perfect stage to explore the application of AI. But AI, machine learning, and deep learning models must always be culturally relevant, culturally responsive, and culturally sensitive as we think of the world we want to build with AI, because technology affects every aspect of our lives and impacts our identity, our language, relationships, trust, knowledge production, narratives, and so much more. We have already experienced some of the positives and some of the negative impacts of algorithms and the algorithmic culture of social media and the hashtag revolution, two of the greatest cultural game changers of our time. AI is a legacy technology. We could use it to destroy, or we can use it to future proof. The choice is ours. AI is a mirror of our own biases and vulnerabilities. So diversity, equity, and inclusion are crucial to the design, development, and deployment of AI. AI can act as a guardian of our distinct cultural heritage and as a preserver of our identities for future generations to experience us. But we must use AI ethically, because science without morals could be the death of us. I hope this short presentation sparks a deeper conversation about AI and culture. Thank you so very much.